How you doing? Just a quick video on my thoughts on the California T6.1 and whether we'll buy one or not. So that's a bit of a teaser towards the end of the video, just to let you know what we're thinking. So I've been watching the videos. There haven't been too many, but the videos so far have been interesting with regards to, you know, the changes inside, the changes to the outside, all the additional extras, and based on the number of views those videos are getting, I'd say more or less everybody at this stage seems to have watched them. So I always said that when we got the van, so if you've watched my videos, you're familiar with the van that we have, and I've always said that I bought that van on the understanding that I would never change it again. And I fully spec'd it out, that I'd said, look, that whatever the specs are, it's good enough that it'll last me till the day I die, hopefully. And so that's why I went for such a high spec. The new van, so that's why I thought when a new van came out, I'd never be tempted by a new van. I thought, no, I just won't be interested in the new van, no matter what they have. It won't interest me. And I have to say that the new changes have piqued my interest. You know, I think the new additions are good in that I like the improvements that they've made over the T6. I think they're good additions, and I'm actually curious to see what they're going to do on the T7. I think if they added auto leveling in the T7, that would be fantastic. And if they got rid of the handbrake, the pull-up handbrake, it would be great. And I don't mind using the pull-up handbrake. The only reason I'd like to get rid of it is because just turning the seats is that bit awkward, especially if you have the van leveled and you're up on ramps and then you let the handbrake go. It's just a bit of a palaver. So if they had a kind of auto leveling system, that would be fantastic. But that would probably mean putting in air suspension. Anyway, I digress. So why would I even consider changing the van at this stage to, or have I, or what are we doing, right? And again, it's a bit of a teaser. But why would I consider, what is it about the new van that I would consider changing the van to? Now it's interesting because myself and Vanessa were looking at doing a video about the T6.1 a few weeks ago. And, you know, we just we actually did a video, but I think it came across as a little bit negative. So we never put it up. It's the first video that I've actually done that I never uploaded. And just because it came across a bit negative, and, you know, I was probably a bit cranky at the time, whatever was wrong with me. But I think going through the new additions, the new changes that they've made, and not only that, I think the improvements that they made to the T6 earlier when it came out as well were good changes. So the main interests that I have in the new van are the split top, the split worktop. I think that's a brilliant idea. And I think ours doesn't have that, because ours is one of the, say, first generation T6s. So it doesn't have that. And I think that is something that I miss. The other thing that I like as well is the new console with the leveling, with the leveling thing in it, you know, that indicates whether the van is level as well. I thought that was quite good too, and I like that. And there's a few other new additions as well that I can't think of off the top of my head, which is very bad. But anyway, so look, the general gist of it is that, like, I thought the new styling of the van was nice. And again, I watched a video and they were saying that there was one guy saying that, you know, these in-between models can look a bit dodgy because they put so much work into the look of the van that these kind of facelifts can go a bit naff. I remember Toyota Corolla doing something similar, and the look of the van, the look of the car in between wasn't great, whereas you're sure the T7 will look really, really well and modern and so on. So generally speaking, I'd say I like the various additions. The van coming out would give me an opportunity to address some of the mistakes that I made in buying the van. So namely, the main issues would be, I don't like the non-split top. We got the silver alloys, you know, the chrome alloys, we got those, and I kind of regret getting them to this day. I think black ones would be better. I think they'd be easier to keep clean. When I have the van spotlessly clean and the alloys are done, the first thing to go are the alloys, and they go black. So I think, you know, with all the brake dust, so I just think that having black alloys would be a good thing to invest in. I think not getting the reversing camera was a mistake. I think I should have definitely got the reversing camera. And I think, what else is there? The interior of the van, going for that kind of light grey, was probably a mistake too. That's one of the things that I liked in the new van. They have that kind of timber decking floor, which I thought was quite nice. And that reminds me, a mistake was not getting the Alcantara seats, because we have the fabric seats and they are a nightmare to keep clean. Now, I know everyone's going to say, well, get covers on them. I'm just a kind of non-cover kind of guy. I just don't like covers on seats. I prefer to go au natural with the car seat covers without them and stuff like that. Now, I do see them and they're very good, but I just don't like it. I think the changes that they've made to the wardrobe as well, I think are quite good, because I really don't like those kind of like, there's a concertina or something, that door. I don't like that. It drives me nuts. But I think first and foremost, the reason I would consider changing it is, because I think, again, thinking long term, the few changes that they've made, the split top, the leveling, the ability to see the leveling inside the van, would make it a little bit better. But also, I think it would give me an opportunity, like I was saying, to rectify some of the mistakes that I made when I was ordering the van, namely the colour, the lack of the camera, and various bits and pieces like that. But I think the other thing that it would allow me to do is, because the van, when I bought the van first, it was the first camper van I'd ever bought, and we bought it from new, and we didn't know anything about camping. We didn't know anything about camper vans. I didn't know anything about Californias. I didn't know anything about all the other different types. I don't come from a family of people who go camping, so I didn't know what to expect. Now, I have bought plenty of new cars, brand new cars in the past, and you do have issues. Obviously, we had issues with the engine system and so on. And again, there's loads of videos on the channel about all that kind of stuff. So we have, so I'm kind of used to kind of getting a new car and there being kind of, glitches in the engine and like that. It's not the end of the world. But it is disappointing. And I think on some level, when we got the van and the things that went wrong with it, took the shine off it for me. They kind of, I think the thing is, I went in a bit naively buying the van, and so my naivety and my keenness to get a van, I was so eager to get one, and I think then what happened was I kind of rushed headlong into it. And I think in hindsight, if I'd had it got, knowing what I know now about the alloys, about the seat covers, about the split top, the various aspects of the van that are very irritating, I think, getting a new van will be the opportunity to rectify those. And what I would say is I would keep most everything that I have. Obviously, I'm going to add to the list of things. Sorry, I keep wiping the table. It's a bad habit. So what I would do is I'd add to the list of things that I have in the van, because the van is quite highly spec'd. And I think I would add to them. I'd also get the 5-year extended warranty. I would definitely go for that, because just, the level of issues that we had in the first 3 years, and now it seems to be, touch wood, it seems to be fine so far. But I wouldn't like to have to pay for, rectifying any kind of issues. But also then getting a new van, you'll be back under a warranty, which is a good thing to have. So I would get, so the point being, I get to the point. So the thing is, what it will allow me to do was calmly this time around, choose the van, take my time in picking things, and then I'd just be more careful, because I'd know what not to get, and basically it's changing various aspects of the van. And don't get me wrong, the van is lovely and I love it to bits and stuff like that. But I just think there's various things that I would change about the van. Now, Vanessa's not here. I'm doing this video on my own. She's not here with me. She's out doing a bit of a run. But I think she's kind of against changing the van. She's saying, it's a total waste of money. And she's probably right. She says it's a waste of money. Not only that, we did have issues with the van. So she's a bit skeptical about the whole thing about me changing the van again. And also, she's saying that if we brought it to a place, we could probably get seat covers put on for a few £100. That would be beautiful. And we could probably get someone to retrofit the top and put in a split top. And I don't know if people do that, but she's convinced that someone will be able to do such a thing. And she's probably right. It's probably just a matter of unbolting it and getting a top that would fit in, that we could split and stuff like that. But there's a part of me that's against that. I don't really want to play with the van. I don't want to change things, because on some level, I kind of want to keep it original, and I want to keep, that we did ever sell it that it is an original van, that it hasn't been tampered with in any way. You know, that's why even when I fit the camera that I fit, my own reversing camera, it's wired in very lightly, in that, like, you know, if I have to strip it out, it's like 10 minutes work. There's no big deal. Nothing is permanent. So, but the point being is that I think if I go and buy a new van, there's going to be things that I'll know to check, like things like the B pillar. The B pillar, the cover of the B pillar was out of alignment, and it took us a while to realise that. When we got the van, like we had the wind deflectors, and they rattled something desperate, and it took us probably a few years. We have the van nearly 4 years, and they've gone in the bin because they were rattling so much. But it took, and like VW, it took them quite a while. They never actually fully figured out what was wrong, what was causing the rattle. They did loads of different things, and it turns out that it was just the wind deflectors, right? But then the screens that you pull across the front, I've noticed one of them has started to fray, but it's always been like that. It's always been a little bit frayed, and it doesn't quite pull out properly. And there's just a few other bits and pieces that on some level with the van has taken the shine off it for me. And, you know, so buying it, spending so much money in it, maybe speccing it slightly wrong. And then also I think having the engine trouble with it, the various issues, and, you know, those kind of things. And then I think now that we're out of warranty, there's still, you know, there's a couple of things that we've noticed that we'd be kind of saying to them, look, you need to fix these as well. So like anyone who's, say, bought a house, I'm kind of rambling on now, but anyone who's bought a house and then buys a second house, the first one, you know, you're in love with the idea, it's, you know, you rush into it. The second one, you're more judicious, you take your time. And I think it's the same thing with the van. I think with the van, when I went in, I'd be more diligent in kind of checking the van out. When we went over and picked up the van, they had it ready in the showroom, and I don't think they had a bonnet, but they had it all set up and clean. And again, you know, the rush of blood, you're in there, you can't wait to get out and drive it away. I would definitely be over there checking it. I'd be doing a proper snag list and checking everything, and I'd say, sorry lads, I'm not driving it away today. That's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. Now, you don't want that. What you want is the perfect van. You want your van to be perfect. You don't want any kind of issues. But I would definitely not drive it off the forecourt till everything was perfectly finished. And that will be the difference between me now and me back in 2016 because of the experience. So, are we considering a change in the van? So, I am considering it, right? So, Vanessa doesn't want us to. And we haven't fully kind of done anything. But what I've done is I've sent an email to the sales manager in VW where we bought the van. And what I've said is when the T6.1 price list comes in, to send it on to me. And how much would we get for the current van? Now, he didn't come back with a price. He said the price list isn't available yet in Ireland. Ireland's a funny country in that regards because we pay VAT and VRT. So we get taxed twice on every new vehicle, and it causes a few headaches because I think the thing is it makes the vehicles in Ireland very expensive. Okay, so a lot of vehicles in Ireland now are imports from the UK because even importing it and registering it, it's still cheaper than it is buying it here new. It's a real problem for the car industry in Ireland. So yeah, so I've contacted him to say send me a price list and tell me what the van's worth. And what he was saying is the value of the van presumably is dependent on the market value of the new vans when they come out. So if I have a number in my head that if the number falls within a particular, you know, range, that I probably will spring for the new van, right? So that's probably what I will do. I'll probably end up going out and buying the new van, the T6.1. So that's it. So, you know, I'm conflicted because I love the van, and like Vanessa picked the color, the grey color, and I think it's nice. And actually, originally I wanted black, but you know, I see some of the new colors that they have, and I kind of go, yeah. And I like, oh, actually, that's one of the things as well. When you pop up the roof, you can open up the front completely. I really like that idea. Also, you can have the canvas a different color, and there's one of them in one of those videos, and it was a kind of a creamy color, kind of creamy, and the pop-up roof was orange. You might have seen it, and I thought that was really, really nice. And it had silver alloys, but I was thinking with black alloys it might be nice. Okay, so see where I'm going, right? I'm already planning. But I think it depends on the value, depends on the current value of the car, and that's the thing. So yeah, so like it is a lovely color, and a lot of people were asking us about the color and what color is it and specking it, and I think, you know, and it's great for kind of like if you are parking somewhere and you don't want to be noticed. Obviously, a white van would stand out more than a dark grey van, which is one of those things. But whatever. So that's where we kind of are now at the moment, and it'd be very interesting to hear people's feedback on this in regards to what they think the current van is worth, because I don't know. I don't know what it's worth. Now, what we spent in it when we bought the van, by the time we'd spec'd it up and so on, I think the base van is, say, in Ireland about €55,000, maybe pushing 60. But by the time I'd finished speccing it out with the 4Motion and all that kind of stuff, it was closer to, I think it was about 80 in the end by the time. So I have an idea. That's I'm thinking that if it's, you know, we've 1 more year's left of payments on it, nearly. Come January, it'll be a year left. So that's obviously another thing that I'm facing into, because once I've paid for the van, just over in a year from now, we'll own it completely, and I won't have to face those huge payments each month anymore, which would be fantastic. It'll just give us more flexibility. So the common sense part of my mind is saying to me, don't change the van, keep it, it's lovely, and people probably think I'm crazy, but I'm the kind of person that, because the van's not in my mind perfect, the split top, the certain aspects, I'm kind of thinking, I think I just need to tick those few boxes and then the van would be perfect in my mind. And then I could have the van forever. Now, obviously Vanessa's saying to me, well, what happens when the T7 comes out? And I'm kind of gone. She goes, what if it has this and what if it has that and what if it has the other? And I'm kind of gone, yeah. And that is a problem. That is the problem, because that's how they get you. That's the reason they change the van every 5 or 6 years, is to get suckers like me, you know, and bringing them back and separating them for the money and having them in debt for years and years and years. And that's the thing. So I don't know, but I'd be curious to see, you know, a lot of people do like the van, and Vanessa would often get comments from people saying, if you're ever selling it, and I used to always go, yeah, we'd never selling it. But I'd be curious to see what people would think the market value would be. It'd be interesting to see what VW are prepared to give us for the van, because he did come back to say that it would have a lot of value in it, you know, and I think I read somewhere that they remain within the top 5. The VW Californias are in the top 5 cars for retaining their value or something like that, because again, they're sought after, there's not too many of them made, so on and so forth. So that's the long and the short of it. I don't know when we're going to get the price list. I know when we bought the van, I know my birthday is the end of September, and I think I had put down the deposit and all that kind of stuff in and around September, early October, because I remember thinking to myself it was like a birthday present for myself. And then then obviously the van was ready in January. We were able to pick it up as well. So I'd imagine we don't have too long to wait before the price list comes out. And I'd imagine, would I go for Dyne Audio, the system again? Assuming you can get it, I would. You know, is it a good investment? Probably not. I don't know. Oh, that was the other thing. That's the thing. That's the thing that drives me nuts. You see, I got the Dyne Audio system, but when you're parked up, you can't use it, right? So that's a thing that was one of the clinchers for me when I saw the T6.1, because when you're parked up and on power, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to use the stereo. So we have to bring a little portable stereo with us and listen to music through that. And you're thinking, I spent $2,000 on getting a stereo system put in that I can only listen to when I'm driving, or turn it on and then it switches it off, and then turn it on and it switches it off, and then I'm conscious of flattening out the battery. No one's going to want to buy the van. I'm knocking it so much. But would I get it again? I would, because at least then you'd have, because in my mind I'd always envisaged that I'd be sitting down listening to that stereo, not the fact that, because I remember the first time I parked up and it switched off. And Vanessa was only joking about it the other day, because I'm still wiping that table. Vanessa was joking about it the other day because she was saying, I thought it was something that I thought her phone was Bluetoothing onto the system and switching it off or something like that. But it wasn't. It was basically that obviously it's a way of protecting the engine battery. But the new system, when it's plugged in, you can keep the stereo on. So because of that, I would get it again. And again, trying to keep the van future-proofed as much as possible. How much am I talking here now? Okay, so, okay. I will, that's all I'll do then. So if you've gotten to this point and you're interested, I'd be very interested to hear your comments and what you think, you know, about all the stuff that I've kind of rambled on there about. So thanks a million. Thanks for watching. Bye.